Thank you so much for the introduction. So, good morning, everyone. Today, I will be talking about horticulture for sustainability and food security topic. So, I will start with what is horticulture. It's like you all know that it's a combination of horticulture trees as well as when it comes to pasture, it's the forage crops. So it has got two components, the horticulture components as well as the pasture components. And when I speak about the pasture components, then inevitably, like we will look into how the livestock matters for the food security. So I am not going to talk much about the horticulture trees because it's altogether a different domain, but how we can introduce the forage crops in the horticulture trees would be the focus of my today's talk. But let us look at some of the statistics about how much interspace is available under different horticultural fruit crops. For example, the fruit crops are like mango, sapota, orange, guava, jack, and tamarind. And these fruit crops are purposely selected because the interrow spaces used between trees is minimum 6 meters. We always consider that to introduce the fodder crops, the interrow spaces between the trees should be minimum 6 meters for the reason that the width of the tractor along with the implements is minimum 5 meters. And for the tree basins, we need a minimum 1 meter. Means like half meter for the one tree and another half meter for the other tree. That would be 1 meter. And the width of the tractor along with the implements is 5 meters. So to take up the easy agricultural operations, we always consider for the horticulture the minimum 6 meter tree species is required. And whatever the crops I have listed, these are the crops which are grown in southern part of the country. Because I am located in southern part of the country and our jurisdiction is southern part. So this analysis I have restricted only to the southern part of the country. Here you can see that the large area, interrow space area is available in the Andhra Pradesh. That is undivided Andhra Pradesh. That is followed by Karnataka, then the Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Coming to the fruit, we are having large area under mango crop, like mango, and it is followed by the other crops like we have jack, sapota, orange, and guava. Coming to the plantation crops, we have more area under coconut crop, but in the area available under coconut is more than the area available under mango crops. So it gives us a huge scope to introduce fodder crops in the interrow spaces of food crops. And when we analyze, like if utilize all the interrow spaces, how much fodder can be produced? Considering the interrow spaces of the horticulture crop as one of the niche area. And here you can see that nearly 67 million metric tons of green fodder can be produced, which can cater to the yearly fodder requirement of 13.5 million adult cattle units in the southern part of the country. So it's a huge figure which can help us to meet out the fodder shortage what is being experienced at present in the country. So when we look into the livestock, why livestock is the first and the foremost is, if we look at the contribution of the agricultural GDP in the country, highest contribution comes from the livestock side. As of now, it is higher than the contribution of crop husbandry. That's the first thing. Second thing is that many of the livestock is in the country is still owned by small and marginal farmers. So when we talk about the equitable distribution of the income, if we can ensure that the livestock husbandry becomes profitable, the profit goes to the small and marginal farmers. So to have the equity, we need to have the profitable livestock husbandry in the country. Third thing is when we are talking about the sustainability of the agriculture in the country, then the livestock plays a very important role. And you all know, being the agricultural fraternity, how important it is to add farm manure to the soils at the present situation. So for the agriculture sustainability and also to So but why we're talking about the fodder crops? Why we're discussing so much about the forages? Whether our ancestors were cultivating all these improved fodder crops? So the question here is, now the scenario in the country has changed so much that even the availability of crop residue has decreased in some part of the country. Why the crop residue availability is decreased is, the first thing is introduction of the hybrids. The moment we talk about the hybrids, most of them are dwarf types and they're bred for the grain production. As a result, the crop residue availability for the farmers has decreased. And the second thing is, we see a large area nowadays under the commercial crops, most importantly under sugarcane. So the moment the sugarcane crop is introduced, and the availability of the crop residue decreases. Though they feed the sugarcane tops only for 2 or 3 months in a year, but it's not good for the animal health. That is one thing. It can act as a supplementary fodder or supplementary feed, but it cannot be the whole feed for the animals. The improved forages also gain importance because nowadays majority of the farmers are rearing the crossbred animals, maybe Jersey cows, or for that matter HF. And these crossbred cows or livestock, they need a more fodder to be fed to them. So in order to meet out the decrease in the crop residues and also the kind of the animals the farmers are rearing, we need to cultivate the fodder crops. When we look at the household scenario at the farmers level, we see that the farmers are dependent mainly on feeds. So that is enhancing the cost of livestock rearing in the country, because they are purchasing the concentrate feeds and they are rearing the animals. That is reducing their profit. If you go and ask the farmer, many of the farmers say that keeping the animal has become a liability for them. They are keeping it only to get the farm manure. Otherwise, it is not profitable. But this profit situation or the income situation from the livestock husbandry can be altered only by introducing the forages. There is no other means. Like the agenda here is to reduce the farmers' dependence on expensive feeds and increase the availability of quality fodder, so that the farmers save on the feeds and they save the expenditure on the feeds, so that they'll be able to reap good profit from the livestock husbandry. But why there is a missing link? Like, though we have so many fodder types, but still we don't see a lot of push for the fodder to be cultivated by the extension agencies. The first thing is, most of the agricultural departments in different states, they focus on the principal crops of the region, that is the major crops of the region. They don't talk about the fodder crops. Second thing is, for example, animal husbandry departments in the different states, they do to a limited extent extension or transfer of technology on the fodder crops, but many times they end up in poor selection of the suitable fodder crops for the region. I have given here one example of the bursing, and this bursing crop requires a cold temperature to perform very well. So it comes up very well in northern part of the country. But Many of the animal husbandry departments in southern part of the country, they provide bird seed in the kits distributed to the farmers, which again leads to the poor performance of the fodder crops. The third component is seed source. Like we have many of the private companies who are dealing with the seeds of vegetables, seeds of flowers, or seeds of commercial crops like maize or cotton. But we don't have many private companies who are dealing with the seed of forages. So the forage seed availability is always an issue in the country, and only few agencies are doing, especially those of the perennial fodder crops. So this is also one of the concern. And the cultivation of fodder crops requires a different skill altogether. It is not like a usual cultivation of the food grain crop. It is different because of the type of seed the grasses have. So the educating the farmers is must. So one of the reason to push forward the cultivation of the fodder crops is to address all these missing links. Another reason for the fodder crops is the name of the crop itself. Like they don't actually match with the traditional names of the crops. For example, jowar or wheat. The farmers are very well versed with the names of these crops. But when it comes to the fodder crops, the names itself, they are so different. They appear more like an English kind. Till today, we don't have a vernacular name for most of the fodder crops. So this also makes our job difficult, is because we have to start educating the farmers from from the very name of the fodder crops. Here I listed some of the names like Napier hybrid or Guinea or Rhodes or Cenchrus. So all these names are so different for the farmers to get connected to. And the another thing is about the fodder crops is like farmers, most of the farmers would not have never seen them at all. Like so, they haven't seen what these crops are. So getting them to see these crops are very important. And once you allow them to see these crops, the moment they say they will try to touch these crops, how they are soft, whether they have any hard leaf sheath, all these things they will try to understand. So you can always allow them to decide. And in one of the projects we worked on, that was on introducing the fodder crops in mango orchards and coconut plantations. We used this method where the farmers were brought into our demonstration plots, allowed them to go around these crops, and they were allowed to touch and feel and select the crops, and whatever the crops they had selected, and then we made this seed of these crops available to them to the group. Another here is like we always talk about making the fodder available, especially the green fodder available to the animals around the year. So much of our focus in our work was about the perennial fodder crops instead of annual fodder crops. Especially when we talk about the horticulture, the perenniality of the fodder crops matters a lot. So how the perenniality helps is, the first thing is it allows the farmers to harvest the green fodder all through the year. Second thing is, because the availability of green fodder is there, it improves the health of the animals as well as animal yield. Maybe a milk yield or the fattening of the animals helps. The third thing is like, because the fodder is available right in his farm, it helps him to save the time as well as the labor, because they have to go in search of the green fodder, cut it and bring back. So it involves less time. So as well as it's a win-win situation, especially when we talk about the horticulture condition. And we'll see about the bits of horticulture in the next few slides. The it's not just the cultivation of the fodder that is more important, but it is also the time when the farmers have to harvest that is more important. Because if the farmers are harvesting the fodder at right time, then only they are able to get all the nutrients or quality nutrients for their animals. In the photograph, I have seen how tall the crop has grown, but the nearly for 3 to 4 feet, you can see that the crop has dried. The moment the crop has dried, it will lose the nutritional value. So we have to educate the farmers that harvesting the crop at right time means like when the crop is at between the 40 to 45 days, then the farmer has to harvest the crop. But how the farmers can remember this 40 to 45 days schedule is during this period the crop starts flowering. So at the flowering stage, we can always tell the farmers that the flowers are the indicators for you to harvest the crop. The second point in harvest schedule is the farmers should also be educated not to harvest the crop early. Like 40 to 45, they should not harvest at the 20 to 25 days. The Bajra Napier hybrid it grows very fast, but if the crop is harvested at 20 to 25 days, for some of the fodder crops, there are some of the anti-nutritional factors, and their quantity will be more at the early stage. So we should educate the farmers not to harvest the crop at early stage, either early stage or harvesting at the later stage. Both are not good when it comes to the livestock husbandry or animal husbandry. So I mentioned about that we had one project which was on horticulture component, both in mango and coconut trees. So as a part of this project, what we did is we just contacted some of the NGOs who are mainly focusing on livestock related activities. For example, BIFE. BIFE is focusing mainly on the livestock husbandry. Then the Agricultural Man and Ecology, AME Foundation, which is also talking mostly about the sustainability component, where they also promote the livestock. So we contacted with such NGOs, we developed the linkages with them, and then we asked to send the small group of farmers to our institute, not more than 30 to 40 farmers. So we invited them, and we taught them about the different set of the new fodder crops available with us, not more than 6 to 7, because we chose the crops which are suitable for the farmers region, which can come up well in those farmers who are attending the training program. Then we exposed them to the different crops which are available in our farm, and then ask them to touch, feel, and select the crops. So whatever the crops were selected by them, only those crops were given to the farmers. But having said this, I mentioned that for the fodder crops, the farmers are not very willing to depart their fertile land. So, but still we have many niche areas, maybe on the bunds or pond embankment, backyards, or we can in this presentation I'll be focusing on indoor spaces in the orchards. So coming to the pond embankment, though it is little bit deviation from the today's topic, but it would be interesting to see that some of the fodder crops, like this is the grazing guinea, and this crop, even the soil is so poor, like it's just like a wasteland. Like in the one picture, that is which shows that 2007 as the year, you can see the kind of the top soil available there. It's almost gravelly soil, dugout soil from the pond. So we planted in the year 2007, and even now in 2020, even if you come and see, you can see the same set of the same crop stand, like crop stand, and how it has also helped us to contain the soil erosion or stabilization of that slopy land. The above photograph, here the farmer has grown Brachiaria decumans. We call it as a signal grass. He has actually planted in the year 2003. Until today, even if you go and see in his farm pond, you can see the crop stand like this. So this I have already covered, like how much area is available in the orchards. And these are some of the fodder crops selected by the farmers. Many of the farmers, in spite of telling them that Bajra Napier hybrid, though it grows very tall, it gives good yield, but it's poor quality, still they prefer to grow for the Bajra Napier hybrid, because that's how the visual effect is there. It grows so tall, it just appears like a sugarcane crop. So most of them, they prefer to go for the Bajra Napier hybrid, followed by Guinea grass as well as the perennial fodder sorghum. So coming to the how we introduced the fodder innovations in the mango orchards, here are some of the photographs you can see. And actually, this was the phase 1 from 2013 to 2016. Then afterwards, the project continued for the phase 2 from 2016 to 2019. And now recently we ended up with the phase 3. That is, it started from 2019 to 2023, a year before we just closed this project. And in this particular work, we emphasized on introducing fodder crops both in mango plantation as well as in coconut plantations across 7 districts of Karnataka, covering both southern part of Karnataka as well as northern part of the Karnataka. And we see that very good spread of this technology from farmer to farmer was observed. So when we introduced these crops, then what are the benefits the farmers actually got by cultivating these fodder crops in the interspecies? So the first thing is on livestock rearing, they told that their expenditure on feed, on concentrated feed, is decreased nearly by half, like 50% reduction in the direct reduction in the expenditure they were incurring on animal husbandry. That is that much of money they were able to save. The second thing is they noticed increase in the milk yield by nearly 1 liter per day per animal. That means their even production level also enhanced by 1 liter per day per animal. The third thing is every day they were going nearly 1.5 kilometer in search of the native grass. One labor would go and cut it and bring it back to the house. So even the distance they traversed, that saved by taking up the horticulture technology. As a result, even the labor saved. On mango orchard, what are the advantage? It improved the the microclimate of the orchard per se. So the orchard temperature reduced. That's the first thing. The weed intensity reduced because we introduced the fodder crops. The soil erosion reduced because many of the mango crops are grown on the slopy lands, like a hill on a slope. Like I could say that on the small hills. So the soil erosion reduced and water penetration also improved because the crops were there, they could be able to absorb more water. Then it also reduced the pest occurrence as well as the disease occurrence because the whole orchard hygiene got maintained. Like because of the less weed intensity and the growth of the fodder crops, the orchard hygiene improved. As a result, even there were less pest as well as the disease resistant. How the farmers got benefited is because of introduction. These crops, they were never knowing about these crops. So their knowledge about the fodder crops improved. They were not knowing from where to get the seed or plantation materials. So they could get the improved access to information, to whom to contact if they need to cultivate the fodder crops. Also, they had the improved access for seeds and propagation material because they had partnered with our project. So we were giving them the seed as well as the planting material to them. And because of the enhancement of the milk availability, then even the family nourishment got improved by introduction of the horticulture technology in the farmers' field. I mentioned that there is weed intensity reduces by introduction of the fodder crops in the mango orchards. Here you can just see in one row, this is the experiment conducted in our own research farm. And here you can see that in one row, we have planted the fodder crops. But in the either side of this row, you can just see that it's blank. It is kept blank. So what happened is where we have kept blank, this is the level of the weeds you can observe, and the white, whatever the white patches are there, this is the actually they all are Arcadiums. And where we have cultivated the very next patch, you can just see that the beautiful stand of the fodder crops. This is actually the Precaria, and you can just see how beautifully it covers and it suppresses the weed very effectively. This is one of the photographs of the farmer's field, and this is the crop is grazing guinea. And what I actually wanted to show you in this particular photograph is that the trees are very large, maybe 50 plus years old trees. So the shade part, the shade is very high. Even under the shade, right below the tree, the crop growth is not affected. Because guinea grass, especially guinea grass, is a shade-tolerant crop. It is highly nutritious, and this particular crop is called as grazing guinea. Means it grows not grows at a very lengthy. It grows short, so it is a short stature crop and suitable for grazing. Like if the farmers wants to allow the grazing of the animal, still. The crop stand won't get affected by the pressure of the animal grazing, and the animal saliva itself acts as a nutrients for the crops to grow. So it's shade tolerant, it is very nutritious, it is grazing tolerant, and fourth thing about this, it has got a lactogenic effect. That means the moment the farmers feed this crop to the animals, the milk production will be more. So how this horticulture technology helped the farmers to address the fodder shortage? You can just see here that before, nearly the farmers were experiencing 50% of the fodder shortage. They were experiencing 50% of the fodder shortage, and after introduction of the fodder crops or introduction of the horticulture technology, it reduced to just 9%. That is the effect the horticulture technology is having. It has got many benefits. The first thing is the farmers were keeping the land vacant, because once the trees attain a certain height, the farmers don't use the interrow spaces with the assumption that whatever the crop they cultivate, it will not yield better. But in case of the fodder crops, many are shade tolerant and many can come up in a very harsh environment. This gives the advantage. In one of the photograph here, you can see that this particular field is on the hill. It is a very slopy land. Even here, you can see that it helps to contain the soil erosion. So it has got a very good effect. This is in the coconut plantations. Our second phase of the project mainly focused on coconut plantation, and in Karnataka, the lot of area is under coconut in Tumkuru districts of Karnataka. That lot of area is there. So we worked with the farmers of Tumkuru district. But one of the problem they were facing is the water shortage. So they were not having the groundwater table is very low there. So they opted for, in our training program, they opted for the perennial fodder sorghum. Most of you may be aware about the perennial fodder sorghum. It's a sorghum, but it's a fodder sorghum having a perennial nature. Like once you sow this crop, then it comes up for minimum 6 to 7 years under low fertile conditions, and the poor soil also it comes up. So these farmers, they opted for perennial fodder sorghum crop, and you can just see the beautiful crop stand of this particular fodder crop in the farmer's field. And their observation about this particular crop is, the first thing is it consumes less water. Like nearly 40% of the farmers, they mentioned that it consumes less water, and also it grows fast. It is one of the very good fodder crop, I would say, because its adaptability to the poor or soil condition, its adaptability to the climatic variations, and its adaptability to the different water regime. So it has got a very good adaptability. So the farmers felt that it's good in many respects. And another thing is, it has got a very soft and thin stem. Like many farmers, they don't have a chaff cutter to chaff. For example, the Bajra Napier hybrid has got a very thick stem, and the moment the farmers feed it without chaffing, then all the stem portion, it becomes waste. But this particular crop has got a very thin stem, so the farmers felt that it is one of the criteria which help them to feed their animals. Apart from that, some of the farmers were able to grow so much so much in their horticulture field, that they started having excess fodder. So the excess fodder, what to do? For example, Bajra Napier hybrid, you can see here that it has grown so tall, but the moment it is dry, then it will lose the fodder value. So some of the farmers, they ended up with having alternative use, like here how he has covered his one part of his cow shed. So they made use of it in an alternate way. But even if it is dry, the farmers are, if they are able to chaff it and feed it, and to some extent the animal consumes it. But those who don't have the chaff cutter, then they will end up making alternative use of it. And then the guinea grass, you can just see how the farmers have preserved it. And the guinea grass, though it is dry, but it still maintains the dry fodder value, and it can be fed to the animals. In case of the perennial sorghum, I just mentioned that we introduced in the coconut plantation, and you can see how thin the stem is. So it makes a good dry fodder, and so the farmers can, the excess fodder can be harvested, bundled, stacked, and kept it it can be kept for use during the lean season when the fodder availability is less to the farmers. So with this, I thank you one and all. I think I have covered most of the aspect, and thank you so much for your patient hearing. And if you still have any of the questions, you can just I'm okay for answering your questions, so you can ask me some of the questions.
Okay, any questions? Ma'am, please see in your chat box.
Yeah. I just forgot to include one slide here. How the horticulture technology helped the farmer to spread it from farmer to farmer and from village to village. We have the even data set of how it diffused across different farmers, and also the farmers who planted in a little area initially, how they extended the area as the time passed. So I just forgot to mention it. This technology resulted in very good spread of technology from farmer to farmer as well as village to village. The reason is that farmers were able to share the planting material to the other farmers apart from sharing the information to them. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Ma'am, my one question is there. Is there any crop that can be used for silage preparation?
Yeah, so like hybrid napier can be used for silage preparation as well as the tall guinea can be used for the silage preparation.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, both
Thank you,
have
ma'am.
got, yeah, sugar level content is good. Like we say
Okay.
them as a Brix value. So they we have been tested, and also in our institute they are using it for silage preparation.
Okay. Do you have any culture regarding silage?
Silage culture is available in our institute.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from participants? Okay, I think, ma'am, there is no any other question.
Okay.
It is my now responsibility to thank you for such a wonderful session. You have rightly pointed out from the beginning just distribution of livestock and major perspectives of animal husbandry as per as this particular horticulture system is concerned. Also, you have focused on some of the missing links that we have completely forgotten the some of the crops like bersim. Really, this particular session is worthy and thankful for joining us, ma'am. On behalf of organizers and participants, I'm thankful to you, ma'am. Please.
Thank you so much. Thanks to NADCL for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences with all the participants. And I thank the participants for a very patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.